10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Go for main engine start. Main engine start. 2, 1. Booster ignition and lift off.
Props, my name, no
East Wave Radio presents Music Promo Social. We are going to cover a lot of crazy things today. And E has put together an amazing list of people. Let's introduce our first guest today. Capitol Records, EMI, let's go back to the year 2000. Let's go back to Dr. Dre, Mac 10, Ice-T, and the guy that put together a song called Ghetto Fabulous. Please meet Mr. Raz Kaz. Mr. Jeff Shuey from Kodak. Tony Benton. Please meet the Chief Technology Officer for Icon Has Cheeseburger, Mr. Scott Porat. Where it's going, and here he is today. Please say hello to Mr. Sinixawat. And Love, could you please say hello to Mr. Eddie Francis? Eddie, thanks for coming, man. I appreciate it. Welcome, Mr. Angel Jimbaza for Custom Tailored Marketing. This guy owns it. Please meet Mr. Harrison Wood. Please say hello to Mr. Ricardo Frazier. As well. I want to start with Mix-a-Lot, of course. Can you give us really a breakdown of the marketing and promotions game?
Well, early on, back when I got in the game was totally different. In that the artist was only responsible for the art. To a certain extent, we want to bring some of this down. Whoever's having this. The artist was only responsible for the art, meaning you create the art, you deliver the art, they create the package, they market, the machine works for you. That's the way it worked, all the way through the new millennium, basically, and then some. Today, an artist is no longer just an artist. If you believe that you can just chill in your room, play guitars and get good vibes, and monetize that, that's bullshit. It's not gonna happen. What you have to do now is understand that you are a walking, talking brand and embrace technology, because technology is the promotional machine now. Everybody's record label is iTunes, like it or not. It's a forced marriage. So it took me a long time to accept that, but now that I have, I've been able to leverage my brand against other things.
Like Drake already had a brand before he got on a major label. He basically he owns the Drake. Like, he got one of the greatest record label deals ever because he already had a brand before. Everyone saw this was a viable financial entity and they all wanted to buy in. So there was a bidding war for him, because before there was ever major, he was on the internet making his brand. He was on MySpace and YouTube, and he already owned it first. So there are success stories like that too.
I just typed up on my iPhone, props to Apple, I just typed up on my iPhone that I typed up top 5 rappers right now. All but one, the majority of their income did not come from music. So if you didn't think brand was important, type that in. Just go to Forbes and look at the top 5 rappers. The only one that made his off music is Birdman. The rest of them, Jay-Z, Diddy with the vodka. We all know Jay-Z with his investments. Dre with the Beats by Dre. Right. You have to take, once you get any kind of notoriety, leverage that against something else.
I would say Facebook. Everything else is noise. I mean, the entire world uses Facebook. A little fraction uses Foursquare. A little fraction uses Twitter. A little fraction uses Google+. Everybody uses Facebook. It's the new telephone. And if you think about how music works, like probably most of the best music you've enjoyed in your life you heard from a friend. Like, it was past word of mouth, right? And that's what Facebook is. Facebook is just one giant word of mouth thing, right? So at least in our business, we've been focusing way more on Facebook. We see tons of traffic coming out of Facebook, and we're not alone. And so if I was 22 years old and trying to get my start, I'd put my eggs in that basket.
Really?
Absolutely.
I agree. And let me interject one quick point. Don't get on Facebook saying, please buy my record. That irritates the hell out of people. Engage your audience. And once you engage them, they will come.
I had about Drake is you got to create your brand and force radio to play you. Force these other media outlets to want to listen to you, get an ear out. Like he said, don't be annoying. Just because you wrote on someone's wall doesn't mean you marketed yourself. Just because you tweeted someone a link doesn't mean, just because you have a Reverb Nation account, that doesn't make you an artist, man. Put content out there, but find the ways to be innovative and creative in the ways that you do it that makes people want to be like, oh, you heard Sir Mix-a-Lot? I want to check that out. And like he said, word of mouth is probably your biggest ally, man. Don't just post content to do it, man. Make sure it's the best you can do.
But you know, it's really important too that you understand what publishing is. Because that is something that a lot of artists don't even think about until they gave it away.
Right.
There's a lot of artists right now, you'll see them, you hear their songs in commercials and movies, and you meet them, and they're broke.
Is that even an option for new artists? Can they even get their publishing?
I think it's easier to keep it now than it was before because you can create your brand prior to signing to a major. I'll give you another example is that Ricardo and I, this is about, was 2004. We get a text message or an email from a friend of mine, Ness Rodriguez, saying, look, man, I think your song Swas has been used in this chick's song in Europe somewhere. Tori Alame was her name. You know, and it was small. I mean, you didn't want to go out and spend 20 grand and chase down 5, right? We let it get bigger, bigger, bigger. Then CeeLo calls me on the phone. All of a sudden, Soul Brother talk. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know how we do it, dog. I said, motherfucker, I don't even know you. I mean, seriously, real talk. I mean, but we ended up working that deal out. And what I really like about the manager I have, he's not always combative. So what I mean by that is, Notting Hill was administering the publishing for that song. They saw a potential nightmare, right? Because we could have basically said cease and desist, which would be stupid, it'd be counterproductive, right? We basically cut a deal with Notting Hill, right, to let them administer our side too. And when he gave us like a 400 grand advance, we were recouped in 8 months. And he gave us another advance, and we keep recouping because we gave him the freedom to license that song, but at the same time, he protected my interests when he cut that deal. So that's where owning the song, and I mean, Swas didn't make me a dime, ever. So when they did that, it's like, what if I had given up the rights? And I did have an offer to buy out that album, like from this cat right before 9/11 happened, and I actually considered it, but I'm glad I didn't.
One thing I would want to just bring and cut to the chase. As an artist myself, I know one thing: the business of a business is to make money. So the music industry was never designed to pick the best artists. They would pick something that the Beatles sold. We want the Beatles. So Mix-a-Lot sells a lot of records. We want one. So Mix-a-Lot and his team created something. They will dump money into something once you prove that you're a viable commodity.
And your values in your publishing too. A lot of people don't realize that. It's like, Mix, how come you're not broke? It's because when you see that Target ad with Baby Got Back or that Burger King ad, we own our publishing, right? You know, that's where your value is.
Explain what a 360
A 360 deal is the same thing. When you watch American Idol and the 10 people and you vote like a dummy and say, oh, I want someone saw the win. All of them already signed a contract. So when they come out, they've signed their life away that no matter what they make, I don't care if they work at McDonald's, they're gonna get a certain percent. That company has your ass for the rest of your life. They own your image, your likeness, your voice. It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like giving your soul away. You don't even own yourself. And that's a horrible place to be. A 360 deal after they don't put your record out or they put out one record because you wanted to be on TV. And now, when your life gets real and you get pregnant and you have a son and then you're working at Taco Bell and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, we need half of that Taco Bell money too. That shit sucks. That's what they don't show you after the show.
And by the way, they're going to stop making CDs, I think, at the end of this year.
Right.
And everything's going digital, right? Because with digital, you don't have packaging costs. It doesn't cost you to make those physical product, right? So At one point, we were paying $18 for a CD when it was costing them $3 or $2.
It was cheaper than a cassette tape.
You know, so,
How do you do without radio?
you know, and we were talking about this, Harrison and Eddie and I were talking about this, man. Radio is interesting, man. You call it terrestrial radio, right?
Terrestrial radio.
Well, you know, these kids are getting their music. I've got Pandora, I've got iTunes, I've got Spotify, I've got SoundCloud, I mean, I've got iHeartRadio. You know, I mean, you get music where you are. You don't have to listen to your local station. You certainly don't have to listen to commercials if you don't want to. You know, so I mean, it's about access, and what technology allows the end user to do is access what they want whenever they want it. So I can be up at 2 or 3 in the morning and access whatever music or porn, whatever music, whatever music I want on my device. Right?
I can't tell you how many bands I've seen where I've walked in the middle of their set, they're maybe the middle band, so there's 3 bands on the set, right? And they may be on the poster that night, but I don't see their name up there when I walk in. They've forgotten that all of us have got cell phones and I could take a picture and I could tag them. If I knew their name, I could look up them on MySpace, I could follow them. You just lost your opportunity to talk to them.
Like you just said, it's well said, is that nobody knows who you are and they don't give a shit. There's too much information for you not to take advantage of that little time that you're on stage. So what if there's only 50 people in the crowd? If out of those 50 people, 5 of them have iPhones and they're gonna post it to Facebook, now look at how big that show actually became. I totally agree. Yes.
Well, gentlemen, thank you so very, very, very much. We really appreciate your involvement today. Harris and Angel, Miss Lott, Ricardo, Scott, Jeff, the panel. And thank you